The Mughal Empire traces its lineage to two of the greatest rulers in history. Babur, its founder, was a descendant of Timur on his father's side and of the fearsome Mongol conqueror Chengiz Khan through his mother. Born as the ruler of Fargana in present-day Uzbekistan, Babur's early years were marked by struggle. He lost his kingdom and faced financial troubles and threats from the Uzbeks in Kabul. At the same time, an invitation from Rana Sanga and the unstable political situation in India turned his attention toward the subcontinent. In 1526, Babur made his decisive move by defeating Ibrahim Lodhi at the historic First Battle of Panipat. This victory not only brought an end to the Lodhi dynasty but also marked the beginning of Mughal rule in India. His military genius lay in his strategic use of artillery and cavalry, aided by Ottoman master gunners Ustad Ali and Mustafa. Babur's tactics, including the innovative Tuluma and Araba formations, ensured his supremacy on the battlefield. His conquest did not stop at Panipat. In 1527, he faced the mighty Rajput confederation led by Rana Sanga at the Battle of Kamwa. Emerging victorious, he assumed the title of Ghazi, a warrior of Islam. The next year, he crushed Madini Rai at Chandari, effectively breaking Rajput resistance. His final battle came in 1529 at Gagra, where he defeated Mahmud Lodhi, the last claimant to the throne of Delhi. Babur's arrival in India changed the course of history. He brought with him the tradition of Charbar Gardens, built mosques in Panipat and Rohilkhand, and chronicled his experiences in his famous autobiography, Tuzukai Baburi, Bar Burnama. Under his rule, Kabul and Gandhara became integral parts of the Mughal Empire, ensuring stability from external invasions for nearly 2 centuries. Though gunpowder had been known in India before, Babur's efficient use of it in warfare revolutionized military strategies. He strengthened foreign trade and introduced a new mode of warfare, laying the foundation for an all-India Mughal Empire. With the defeat of both the Lodhis and the Rajputs, he shattered the existing balance of power and assumed the prestigious title of Padshah. Upon Babur's death in 1530, his son Humayun inherited the throne, but his reign was anything but smooth. The rise of Afghan powers and the growing ambitions of Bahadur Shah of Gujarat created significant challenges. Humayun's greatest setback came in 1539 and 1540, when Shir Shah Suri, the Afghan ruler, decisively defeated him at the battles of Chausa and Kanauj. Forced into exile, Humayun sought refuge in the Persian court. After years of struggle, he finally recaptured Delhi in 1555 following the disintegration of the Suri Empire. However, fate was unkind, and he died the following year. Humayun left behind an architectural and artistic legacy despite his short-lived reign. He built the city of Dinpana in Delhi and commissioned mosques such as the Jamali Mosque and the Mosque of Isa Khan. His widow, Hamida Bonu Begum, constructed his magnificent tomb, now a UNESCO World Heritage Site. His sister, Gulbadan Begum, chronicled his life in Humayun Nama. While in Persia, Humayun had developed an appreciation for art and brought with him 2 celebrated painters, Mir Syed Ali and Abdul Samad, who later flourished under Akbar, laying the foundation of Mughal painting. The man who had ousted Humayun, Shir Shah Suri, ruled for only 5 years but left a lasting impact on Indian administration. As the founder of the Sur dynasty and the second Afghan empire after the Lodhis, Shir Shah transformed governance. He continued the central administrative structure of the Delhi Sultanate and built remarkable structures like the Purana Qila in Delhi and his own mausoleum at Sasaram. The celebrated poet Malik Muhammad Jayasi composed Padmavat during his reign. Shir Shah's administration was highly organized. He divided his empire into sarkars, each managed by a chief shikdar, law and order, and a chief munsif, judge. These sarkars were further divided into parganas, where officials such as the shikdar, military officer, amin, land revenue officer, fotadar, treasurer, and karkans, accountants, ensured smooth governance. The lowest unit was the morza, village, and many areas functioned as iktas under revenue officers called amils, with kanungos maintaining land records. Land revenue reforms were a highlight of Shir Shah's rule. He conducted meticulous land surveys and introduced a structured crop rate system known as Ray. His Zabtiye-Harsal method ensured annual land assessments. Cultivable land was classified into 3 categories: good, middle, and bad, while the state claimed 1/3 of the average produce, payable in cash or crops. To standardize land measurement, he introduced the Sikandariga's 32 points. His system of pata, agreements on revenue payment, and kabuliyat, deeds of acceptance, helped streamline tax collection. One of Shir Shah's most remarkable contributions was the introduction of a new currency system. He minted the silver rupaya and the copper dam, which remained in circulation until 1835. His infrastructural projects were equally impressive. He constructed the Shahi Road from the Indus Valley to Bengal, later renamed the Grand Trunk Road by the British, connecting Calcutta and Peshawar. Along this route, he built serais, rest houses, which also doubled as postal stations. These serais often evolved into market towns, fostering trade and commerce. Each was overseen by a Shahrana, custodian, ensuring their smooth functioning. Shir Shah maintained a strong military force. He revived the Dar, branding of horses, system, originally introduced by a lord in Khalji, and maintained a personal army known as Khasa Kale. His well-structured administration and economic policies served as a blueprint for later Mughal emperors, particularly Akbar, who further refined and expanded them. Though Shir Shah Sui's rule was brief, his reforms left a profound impact on Indian governance, economy, and infrastructure, influencing the subcontinent for generations to come. The early Mughal rulers and their Afghan rivals thus shaped the destiny of India, laying the foundation for a powerful empire that would flourish for centuries. Upon the death of his father, Humayun, in 1556, the young Akbar ascended the Mughal throne. His reign began under the guardianship of Bairam Khan, a trusted noble who acted as his regent. In the same year, Akbar faced his first major challenge, the Second Battle of Panipat, where he decisively defeated Himu, the Wazir of the Sui dynasty, securing his rule over Hindustan. Over time, he expanded the empire through military conquests and strategic alliances. One of his most significant victories was the Battle of Haldighati in 1576, where he triumphed over Rana Pratap of Mewar, although the Rajput warrior continued to resist Mughal rule. Gradually, most Rajput rulers submitted to Akbar's authority. His conquest of Gujarat led to the construction of the Grand Buland Darwaza at Fatehpur Sikri, a symbol of his triumph. Akbar's administration was marked by efficient governance. The empire was divided into provinces, called subas, each managed by a subadar who oversaw both political and military affairs. Revenue collection, judicial matters, and administrative tasks were handled by officials like the Diwan, Bakshi, Sadru, and Qazi. His land revenue system, devised with the help of Raja Todar Mal, introduced methods like the Zabti or Bandobast system, which standardized taxation based on land productivity. The Darsala system fixed revenue based on the average yield of the past 10 years, while peasants could also opt for the Battai system, where the produce was shared between the state and cultivators. Land was classified into different categories based on fertility and frequency of cultivation. Another of Akbar's major contributions was the introduction of the Mansabdari system, a hierarchical military and administrative ranking structure. Each Mansabdar was assigned a numerical rank, determining his salary and the number of troops he had to maintain. The system was not hereditary, ensuring loyalty to the emperor. These officials were paid through jagirs, land grants that generated revenue. Religiously, Akbar was remarkably liberal. He abolished the jizya tax on non-Muslims and encouraged interfaith dialogue. At Fatehpur Sikri, he built the Ibadat Khana, or house of worship, where scholars from different religions engaged in theological discussions. His concept of Sulaykul, universal peace, promoted tolerance and became a guiding principle for his successors. In 1582, he introduced Dini Ilahi, a syncretic faith incorporating elements from Islam, Hinduism, Christianity, and Zoroastrianism. However, it had few followers and did not outlive him. To reinforce the emperor's divine authority, he introduced Juroka Darshan, a practice where he appeared before his subjects at regular intervals. Akbar's patronage of the arts and literature flourished during his reign. His court was adorned with Navratnas, 9 jewels, among whom Abul Fazl, the author of Ain-i Akbari and Akbarnama, and Tansen, the legendary musician, stood out. Raja Todar Mal managed finances, Birbal was a close advisor, and Abdul Rahim Khan-i Khana was a celebrated poet. Akbar commissioned the translation of numerous Sanskrit texts into Persian, including the Mahabharata, Razmnama. The period was considered the golden age of Persian literature in India. Architecture thrived under Akbar's rule. The grand city of Fatehpur Sikri, though later abandoned due to water scarcity, reflected a blend of Persian, Indian, and Central Asian styles. Structures like Diwan-i-Am, Diwan-i-Khas, and Jodha Bai's palace showcased his architectural vision. The Buland Darwaza, with its towering presence, commemorated his victory in Gujarat. His reign also saw the construction of Agra Fort and Humayun's tomb in Delhi, which set the stage for Mughal architectural grandeur. Akbar's son, Jahangir, inherited the throne in 1605. Unlike his father, Jahangir's rule was marked by indulgence and the growing influence of his wife, Nur Jahan. A patron of the arts, he introduced pietra dura, a decorative technique using semi-precious stones. His architectural contributions included the Moti Masjid in Lahore and the Shalimar Gardens in Kashmir. Under him, British traders gained a foothold in India. Captain Hawkins and Sir Thomas Roe visited his court, securing a farmman to establish a trading factory in Surat. Jahangir's rule also saw conflicts. His son Khusro rebelled, supported by Guru Arjan Dev, the 5th Sikh Guru, who was later executed. Malik Umbar, the leader of Ahmednagar, resisted Mughal authority. Jahangir, despite his opium addiction, maintained stability and recorded his experiences in his autobiography, Tuzkai Jahangiri. After Jahangir's death in 1627, his son Shah Jahan ascended the throne. His reign, known as the Golden Age of Mughal architecture, saw the construction of the Taj Mahal in memory of his wife Mumtaz Mahal. The Red Fort in Delhi, Jama Masjid, and the Sheesh Mahal were other remarkable structures. He built the walled city of Shahabanabad, the present-day Old Delhi. Despite his architectural triumphs, his reign was marred by succession battles among his sons. Ultimately, Aurangzeb emerged victorious after the battles of Samagar and Dir Rai, imprisoning his father in Agra fort. Aurangzeb, who took the throne in 1658, ruled with an iron hand. Unlike his predecessors, he was deeply orthodox and sought to enforce strict Islamic laws. He issued Zawabit-i-Alamgiri, a collection of decrees, and appointed mutasibs to regulate moral conduct. He reimposed the jizya tax on non-Muslims and banned the construction of new temples. His intolerance alienated many, including the Rajputs, Marathas, and Sikhs. His execution of Guru Teg Bahadur led to Sikh militancy under Guru Gobind Singh. Militarily, Aurangzeb expanded the empire to its greatest extent, annexing Bijapur and Golconda. However, these conquests overstrained the treasury. His prolonged Deccan campaigns against the Marathas, particularly Shivaji, drained Mughal resources. Shivaji, after a brief truce, was declared an enemy once again. His guerrilla tactics and the rise of the Maratha Swarajya signaled the beginning of the Mughal decline. Aurangzeb's administration saw modifications to the Mansabdari system. He introduced an additional rank, Mashrat, conditional, and made deductions under Kurak-i-Dawab to cover military expenses. However, his rigid policies led to widespread rebellions, from the Jats of Mathura to the Satnamis of Mewar. Culturally, Aurangzeb showed little interest in art. He banned music in the court, though he himself was skilled at playing the veena. Unlike his ancestors, he discontinued the practice of Jiroga Dashan and discouraged courtly festivities. He constructed Bibi-Ka Maqbara in Aurangabad, a replica of the Taj Mahal, and the Moti Masjid near the Red Fort. By the time of his death in 1707, the Mughal Empire, though vast, was internally weakened. His religious orthodoxy and relentless wars had alienated many communities. The Rajputs, Marathas, and Sikhs, once integral to the empire, turned against it. His policies paved the way for the empire's slow decline as regional powers rose and European traders strengthened their influence in India. Thus, from Akbar's grand vision of tolerance and cultural synthesis to Aurangzeb's rigid orthodoxy and endless wars, the Mughal Empire underwent a transformation that ultimately led to its fragmentation. The empire that once flourished under the ideals of Sulaykul now faced the consequences of religious intolerance and administrative overreach, setting the stage for the colonial era that followed. The Jagadari system was a fundamental institution of Mughal governance, deeply intertwined with the Mansabdari system. Under this system, nobles and military officers were assigned jagirs, territories whose revenues they could collect as compensation for their services to the empire. However, these lands were not their personal property, they merely had the right to collect revenue while ensuring efficient administration and maintaining military forces when required. Jagirs varied in nature. Tanka jagirs were granted in place of salaries and were transferable every 3 to 4 years. Mashrat jagirs were conditional, awarded only if certain obligations were fulfilled. Watan jagirs, assigned to Rajput rulers and hereditary zamindars, were non-transferable and a recognition of their local authority. Meanwhile, Altamga jagirs were granted exclusively to Muslim nobles in their places of birth or ancestral towns. This intricate system ensured both loyalty and control over vast stretches of the empire. At the heart of this system stood the zamindars, powerful intermediaries who collected revenue from the peasants. They had hereditary rights over a portion of the produce, which ranged from 10% to 25% in different regions. Although they were responsible for aiding the state and jagadars in revenue collection, many zamindars also maintained their own armed forces and performed military duties when needed. However, they did not own all the lands under their jurisdiction, as land ownership was ultimately vested in the state. Mughal administration was filled with unique terminologies reflecting the empire's complexity. Tainat-i-Raqib referred to the emperor's reserved forces, while Takavi denoted agricultural loans provided to farmers. Merwar served as postal runners, while Banik represented local traders. The clerks who maintained revenue records were called batikchis. Every soldier under the Mansabdari system had a chera or descriptive role, ensuring proper military discipline. Among the elite warriors were the Arhadis, who received higher pay than ordinary soldiers. In agriculture, Khud-Kasht referred to peasants who tilled their own lands, while the Kabuliyat system formalized revenue agreements between the government and cultivators. These intricate structures sustained the empire for centuries, but, over time, cracks began to appear. When Aurangzeb died in 1707, the Mughal Empire, stretched to its limits, found itself embroiled in a brutal war of succession. His sons clashed for the throne, with Muazzam emerging victorious after defeating Muhammad Azam Shah at the Battle of Jajau. He ascended the throne as Bahadur Shah I and tried to bring stability. Though he was tolerant toward Hindus and did not strictly enforce the jizya tax, he failed to grant the Marathas full authority over the Deccan, leading to continued unrest. The historian Kafi Khan later called him Shah-i-Bekabar, the unaware king, for his inability to address the empire's mounting challenges. His successor, Jahandar Shah, relied heavily on his minister Zulfikar Khan, who helped him gain power. Jahandar Shah introduced ijara, or revenue farming, and sought reconciliation with the Marathas and Rajputs. He abolished jizya and recognized Shahu as the leader of the Marathas, granting him rights over the Deccan's revenue. However, his weak leadership made him an easy target, and he was soon deposed. Next came Farrukh Siyar, who abolished jizya completely and attempted to enforce religious tolerance. However, he was a mere puppet in the hands of the Sayyid brothers, Abdullah Khan and Hussein Ali, who were famously known as the Kingmakers. It was during his reign that the British secured their landmark Farman in 1717, allowing them to trade freely in Bengal. But Farrukh Siyar, unable to break free from the Sayyid brothers' control, was eventually deposed and killed. As instability deepened, rulers came and went in quick succession. Muhammad Shah, known as Rangila for his indulgent lifestyle, presided over a declining empire. Under his rule, several provinces gained autonomy: Nizam-ul-Mulk in the Deccan, Sadiq Khan in Awadh, and Murshid Shuli Khan in Bengal. The empire faced a catastrophic blow when Nadir Shah of Persia invaded Delhi in 1739, looting the capital and taking with him vast treasures, including the Kohina diamond. This invasion exposed the Mughal Empire's vulnerability to external threats. Later, Ahmed Shah Abdali, the Afghan ruler, also raided Delhi multiple times, further weakening the empire. As the empire crumbled, Alamjad II came to power, but his reign was overshadowed by the rise of British influence. The Battle of Plassey, 1757, fought during his reign, marked the beginning of British dominance in India. His successor, Shah Alam II, witnessed further decline as the Third Battle of Panipat, 1761, saw the Marathas crushed by Ahmed Shah Abdali. Soon after, the Mughal emperor found himself at the mercy of the British. In 1764, he allied with Mir Qasim and Shuji-ud-Daulah against the British East India Company in the Battle of Buxar, but was decisively defeated. The Treaty of Allahabad in 1765 forced him to grant the British Diwani revenue collection rights of Bengal, Bihar, and Orissa, reducing him to a pensioner of the company. The later Mughals were mere shadows of their ancestors. Akbar II, though largely powerless, sought to foster Hindu-Muslim unity by introducing the festival Phul Walan Ki Sair and honoured Raja Ram Mohan Roy with the title Raja. But the empire's fate was sealed with Bahadur Shah II, the last Mughal emperor. A poet who wrote under the pen named Safar, he reluctantly became a figurehead in the revolt of 1857. When the British crushed the uprising, he was captured and exiled to Rangoon, where he died in obscurity. The decline of the Mughal Empire was inevitable. After Aurangzeb, the lack of strong leadership left the empire vulnerable. Many Mughal emperors became mere puppets, manipulated by powerful nobles. The invasions of Nadir Shah and Ahmed Shah Abdali devastated Delhi, revealing the empire's weakened military. Meanwhile, regional rulers like the Nizam of Hyderabad, the Nawab of Bengal, and the Nawab of Awadh asserted autonomy, fragmenting Mughal authority. The British, initially traders, soon took advantage of this disunity. The empire's decline was accelerated by Aurangzeb's harsh policies, which alienated the Rajputs, Marathas, and Jats. His rigid religious orthodoxy and endless military campaigns drained the treasury and weakened the administration. Thus, an empire that once symbolized grandeur, prosperity, and cultural brilliance fell into disarray. The Mughals, who had once ruled over a vast and diverse land with unparalleled sophistication, were reduced to nominal rulers under British control. By the mid-19th century, the Mughal era had ended, and British colonial rule had begun, ushering in a new chapter in Indian history.